above sea level, just in the Thames estuary.
During the Second World War, there were many secret building projects, often in odd, hard-to-reach places. Many of these have faded into obscurity, but not all have been forgotten. Some still remain, like REDSANDS Fort. They were last used as pirate radio stations in the 1960s, but originally they were built to house anti-aircraft guns during the war. Then they were connected by aerial walkways. Now, only the entrance tower has a ladder. I'm starting there. This fort was built here in the Thames estuary. Whitstaple's about 8 miles that way. At the outbreak of World War II, London was the busiest port in the world. But in the opening few months of the war, the Nazis managed to sink over 100 merchant ships. These forts were built in the Thames estuary to protect London's vital supply route. As a young boy, Frank Turner saw these towers being built near his home in Gravesend before they were towed out to sea. He has been fascinated with them ever since.
Here we have the top deck, where the 3.7-inch gun would have been situated.
And this is what it was really for, the whole purpose of the fort, right? This anti-aircraft gun.
That's it. And here you would have had a ready-to-use ammunition locker. Initially, shells would have been stored here, taken out, fused, fed to the gun. This is an interesting type of armour plating, inasmuch it's 2 layers of steel, and between the 2 layers is a stone encapsulated in tarmacadam. This was proof against heavy calibre bullets and shrapnel and such. This room here was used by the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers.
The REME detachment. By the end of the war, 265 men were serving on the fort. In total, they shot down 22 aircraft and 31 doodlebugs. But that's not all they had to contend with.
They were under orders after the first 6 months when people started going a bit dually. They had to have a hobby, and people made dolls' furniture, hand painting, knitting, and the best produced article during the 6 weeks got a 10-shilling or 50p prize.
It's a good idea, it's a good way to keep morale up. I managed to track down one of the veterans who served on REDSANDS Fort.
I think the scariest moment was when a minesweeper blew up. One day when I was below decks, there was one tremendous bang. So I rushed up on deck, and all that could be seen was a puddle of water a few hundred yards away.
The army finally left the fort and removed the guns in 1956. Then it stood empty until the 1960s, when it was used for a purpose utterly different from the one for which it had been built. It became the home of pirate radio station Radio 630, and I've tracked down one of the original pirates. What was it like during that period?
It was 1964, it was the Beatles, it was new rock festivals, it was subversive and it was exciting.
And now, when was the last time you were here?
1964.
So you haven't been up to one of these towers, well, since before England won the World Cup?
That's absolutely right.
Do you fancy coming up on a rope now?
I have to say, I did it an awful lot 42 years ago. Would you mind if I didn't do it today?
Fine, John. Well, we're about to get see if I can climb the other tower. We think there might be the remains of the radio studio that John was telling us about. It's a pretty long rope that I'm going to have to try and get up. I hope that metal hasn't corroded as much as it looks like it has. This is how John used to get to work. I've got a newfound respect for the DJs of the 1960s. That's about to be very rude about Sarah Cox. Same layout, isn't it? That looks like it's from the 60s and 70s. No sign of a DJ studio or anything like that. Perhaps it's floor up. Bunk bed there. Pretty cosy. It's probably where the DJ slept and built the studio in one of the other towers, or else the studio's disappeared. Armour plating on the walls. Why don't you all fade away? Apparently, I'm the first person to come up here for around 40 years, and I must say it's been fascinating walking around these rooms which have witnessed not just one, but 2 remarkable periods in British history. And by the look of it, I'd say structurally it's pretty sound, and it will be here for a few more years to come yet.